Hello, and welcome to the Urban League's virtual Equal Opportunity Day. I am Dr. Angie Christopher with 180 Medical, a member of the Board of Directors and Chair of the Equal Opportunity Day Committee. Today's Equal Opportunity Day event will focus on how we close the opportunity gap for minority and small businesses. Equal Opportunity Day is not only special to the Urban League of Greater Oklahoma City, but to the entire Urban League movement across the nation. Timed to coincide with the anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's 1863 Gettysburg Address, each year, the Urban League affiliates across the country set aside a day to reflect on that famous address and to rededicate ourselves to the belief that all men are created equal, a belief that is the very essence of who we are as a nation and a belief upon which our great country was founded. Together, we celebrate 75 years of the Urban League's service to the Oklahoma City community. Founded in 1946, the Urban League of Greater Oklahoma City is one of over 80 affiliates of the National Urban League. On a national scale, the affiliate network unites more than 2 million people each year to excel through research, advocacy, and action. Closer to home, the Urban League operates in the most impoverished areas of Oklahoma City. We focus on serving over 8,500 people who live in the most challenging neighborhoods in Oklahoma City. Almost 1/3 of the residents the Urban League serves experience considerable poverty. The remaining majority of those we serve are low income or very near poverty. To respond to these challenges and to break the cycle of poverty, the Urban League provides services through core programs: housing, urban health, financial literacy, employment, and education. It is an honor to serve alongside you, the exceptional staff, partners, supporters, members, and the volunteers of the Urban League. Now let's welcome our host, Emmy Award-winning journalist and KOCO Channel 5 anchor, Jessica Shambach.
It's great to be here. I hope everyone is enjoying attending this year's Equal Opportunity Day. We have an outstanding discussion planned, so please follow along with today's event by reviewing the 2021 EOD program agenda. It's found on the Urban League website at urbanleagueok.org. Now, as we're getting started, feel free to share this live event on social media with the link we have for you. You can also keep up with the Urban League on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook as well at Urban League OK. Today's celebration would not be possible without the support of our many friends and partners. So we want to extend a heartfelt thank you to our presenting sponsor, Love's Travel Stops. We also applaud our VIP sponsors, lead sponsors, and equity sponsors who are listed in this year's EOD program. Thank you again to all the sponsors for supporting the Urban League. We learned last year that small and minority-owned firms who, before the global pandemic, were at significant risk are finding it more difficult to survive during COVID-19. During COVID-19, Black businesses experienced a 41% loss, and Latinx business owners fell by 32%. Now, this is largely because minority-owned businesses are smaller on average, in a weaker position financially, and have less access to credit and capital. Recently, the Oklahoma City Chamber of Commerce, along with the City of Oklahoma City, commissioned Ernst & Young to understand economic gaps across OKC. The report found that the distribution of business ownership in Oklahoma City is not proportional to the city's racial population distribution. Black residents make up 13% of the city's population, but own only 2% of businesses. In contrast, Asian residents make up 4% of the population, but own 6% of businesses. Latinx owners are also underrepresented in business ownership, with 21% of the population and 5% of business ownership. Only Native American businesses are roughly proportional, with 3% of the population and 3% of business ownership, the second highest share among benchmarks. In general, businesses owned by people of color in Oklahoma City and across benchmarks have fewer employees and lower sales and revenue than those owned by white individuals. In addition, the Oklahoma City Chamber has engaged the Oklahoma City Urban League in an extensive partnership to start addressing some of those gaps. Let's hear from Jeff Seymour and Dr. Valerie Thompson on the important work being done by Oklahoma City Chamber and the Oklahoma City Urban League to close the gap. Jeff Seymour, Executive Vice President for Economic Development for the Oklahoma City Chamber, has been involved in understanding the challenges OKC faces and has partnered with several groups like the Urban League to find solutions. Since 1999, Dr. Valerie Thompson has served as the second female president and CEO for the Urban League of Greater Oklahoma City in the affiliate's 75-year history. As a recipient of numerous accolades and serving on local and national boards, Dr. Thompson is a passionate advocate for issues that affect African Americans and the underserved. Jeff and Valerie will be followed by an important message from the Oklahoma City Urban League's board chair, Miss Erin Wilcox.
Well, thank you, Jeff, for joining me today to talk a little bit about the Urban League. This is our Equal Opportunity Day. And, you know, this year, again, we're focused on small and minority businesses, particularly in Oklahoma City. And we're really glad that you're here to join us to talk about things that we've done with the Chamber.
Yeah.
And the growing need continues to help minority businesses in Oklahoma City. You're a numbers guy, so as you know, 41% of African Americans have been pretty much shuttered with this COVID-19 nationally.
Right.
Can you share a little bit what has occurred in Oklahoma City, particularly over the last year, the challenges that minority businesses have really seen?
Yeah, 100%. I just appreciate the opportunity to have the conversation like this. I think the last year and a half, 2 years, has been really this tale of two cities. We've had great growth in many regards, and the mayor has talked about low unemployment, and we talked about the growth around the census, but that growth has not been shared by everybody. As you know, when you break apart the numbers, though we've grown with median income across the board, if you start breaking up the growth that's occurred by geography or by ethnicity, that's not shared across the board. When you start looking at African American population versus white population versus Hispanic versus Asian, there's some real pockets where not everybody has enjoyed the same success. And to your point, the minority business community and the small business community have really taken it on the chin when it comes to what happened around COVID. Everybody was pretty astounded by looking at the data and seeing how fragile the small business community was in Oklahoma City, particularly the minority business community that may have not always had the same relationships that gave them access to funds and federal resources and state resources that everybody else had. So I think what we've seen the most is that there's a real need to continue to lean in to be partners at all levels, with particularly our minority business community. And you talked about data. I am a numbers guy.
You are a numbers guy.
I love numbers. We know, you and Jabbar know that. But I think what we saw is that, across the ethnicities that we study in Oklahoma City, pretty equal as far as labor force participation. So we know everybody's in work and in jobs. But when you start pulling apart the information, you realize if you're in the Black community, you don't have the same access to transportation. You don't have the same access to technology. You probably don't have the same access to a great education. And that longer those variables play out, the less economic opportunity you have. And it's really, I think, the same in the small business community. When you don't have traditional banking relationships, you don't have a great network, you're not able to connect to contracting opportunities. All this data starts to layer upon itself and say, we're limiting the opportunities in our small and most vulnerable populations.
Well, the Urban League has certainly been working toward those efforts for many years. We've been in the community 75 years and really excited about the recent partnership that the Urban League has had with the Oklahoma City Chamber. And then recently, the city of Oklahoma City was awarded $2.75 million of CARES Act funding to help support minority and small businesses. Can you share a little bit more about what you think those funds are going to do and help those businesses in the future?
Yeah, so two big buckets, or really three big buckets. Obviously, there's a lot of federal money that has continued to roll out, really under the auspice of the mayor's One OKC approach. Last year, tried to look at the CARES Act funds that the city received and say, can we set aside some portion of those funds that are directly geared towards helping minority businesses? And that was mostly around some grant programs, technical assistance, and helping people kind of have the tools in the tool belt to be successful longer term. As we look into what's going to happen next, some of the funds that the city is setting aside with its ARPA funds, we know that what really happened last year was triage. making sure that people could literally just keep the lights on in their businesses. And that really didn't touch on some of the more systematic challenges that we all faced. I think I'm the first to say that we're no experts, and it's partners like the Urban League and Black Chamber and all these other organizations that have existed for a long time and really have those boots on the ground relationships we're all going to have to lean on to make sure the network effect works in this. But trying to take what happened last year that was just triage, good triage, but triage, and try to do some things around resiliency and capacity building. And I think that's what we're looking at now is how can we continue some of those conversations around technical assistance? How can we continue to look at some of the tools related to financing that help people not only start, but grow their businesses? Enhance banking relationships locally. There's a lot of banks who've said, I really want to figure out this space, but how can we do it in partnership with others? And also build out some capacity to do some things around contractor and supplier networks where our big corporates really want to have a meaningful impact as well, but they're going to have some guidance and some relationship building along the way.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, like I mentioned earlier, the Oklahoma City Chamber has launched a historic partnership with the Urban League around diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Right.
Can you share a little bit about some of the work you've engaged in with this partnership?
Well, I think, again, first of all, thank you for that partnership. I mean, I think, again, we're all sitting at the same table, and I think that's the most important part of this. If nothing else good came from COVID, the fact that we're all sitting at the same table trying to figure these things out together is maybe the most important thing. But, when we looked at our work, first of all, it's just having the important conversations in the community and say, what does real diversity, equity, and inclusion look like? How do we embed that within our corporate frameworks and our business relationships? And then kind of turning from there, how can we do some other things in the community that are also really important? One of those that we know is just there's a lack of capacity, but there's a desire for more connections is around supplier network. And if you look at a lot of our big corporate entities, they want to have more diverse suppliers, but we know a lot of businesses are equipped to have those relationships. And so what can we do to help our corporates think about how to set up a framework? What are some best practices? And then how can we equip small business to be more prepared, not only to do business with them, but also with state contracts, federal contracts, DoD, which is a huge opportunity here as well.
Absolutely.
And then those direct B2B relationships. And so I think we're going to have to figure out how do we equip businesses of a large scale and businesses of a small scale to meet in the middle and have more relationships writ large.
We definitely need to move our minority businesses from service to suppliers.
Right.
There are a lot of good intentioned minority businesses out there, but they think mostly in the service realm.
Right.
We really need to move them more to supplier functioning and working with, like you said, different contracts, especially DoD contractors. And so hopefully our partnership with the Chamber will help do that. You talked a little bit about the banks. Share a little bit about the executive roundtable that we're doing with the Chamber.
Yeah, and I'll touch on your comment about moving from service to supplier. Great point, and I couldn't agree more. And I think that's one unique thing about being in this market is, like you said, the DoD. There's so many entities that either by requirement or because it's the right economic thing to do, they have to diversify their supplier base. And a lot of that is around parts and manufacturing. But to get there, you have to figure out how to navigate these really intense federal systems or local systems that can be paperwork heavy, can be time and intensive and money heavy. And how do we help bring those folks along? You can not only create opportunities for the small businesses, but for the big businesses as well who are trying to diversify. But this executive roundtable you mentioned, what we really want to set up alongside the leadership that the Urban League brings to the table is an opportunity for our CEOs to really think at a high level about how to drive this long-term diversity, equity, and inclusion conversation in Oklahoma City. Now, I think one of the greatest fears that can happen out of everything that's happened in the last 12 to 24 months is that that was a great moment in time, but it wasn't a long-standing conversation. And so how can we set up a framework where we're having the right conversations to say we're having a long-term conversation about this, the business community in addition to the public sector is driving this conversation. We're trying to figure out how to create ways for real economic inclusion and opportunity across the board.
Well, Oklahoma City is just one of the fastest growing cities in the nation. And so I can see our minority businesses growing at a faster pace too. So we all have to be ready.
100%.
So we all have to have all hands on deck and be in the partnerships that we're creating. I think it's going to help us move in that direction.
Well, when we're seeing, we talked about the numbers around the census, what it's saying is we are becoming more diverse, and that's a real net positive.
Right.
But, how do we take advantage of this real blend of backgrounds and personalities and experiences and blend these into all of us having a seat at the table to drive Oklahoma City forward?
Absolutely. Well, Jeff, thank you again, and thank you for the partnership we have with the Chamber, and we look forward to working with you in the future.
Can't be more excited. Thank you for everything you're doing from a leadership perspective.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Valerie and Jeff, for raising important issues about the work that lies ahead and the partnerships being formed to close the gap. I'm Erin Wilcox, and I have the honor to serve as the board chair for the Oklahoma City Urban League and want to share about a unique way that you can participate in today's event. Today is Giving Tuesday, created in 2012 as a day that encourages people to do good. Over the past 7 years, it has grown into a global movement that inspires hundreds of millions of people to give, collaborate, and celebrate generosity. Help us celebrate Giving Tuesday by giving generously to the Urban League. $550 provides 30 days of industry training and employment services for a client. $500 provides 30 days of STEM-focused tutoring for a child. $200 provides parent training, advocacy, and support for a parent whose child attends the Urban League school-age program. And $100 provides assistance for a family to obtain affordable housing. There are several ways to give. You can give by credit card by texting GIVE ULOKC to 44321, or by accessing our website, or simply mailing in support to the Urban League address seen on the screen.
Over the past year, the Urban League has worked with several community-based organizations to find solutions to problems in under-resourced communities. Recently, the Urban League of Greater Oklahoma City submitted a proposal to the Small Business Administration to construct a hub-and-spoke model, a method of offering technical support to small businesses in under-resourced communities across Oklahoma City. Let's hear from Toon Nguyen, chairman of the board of directors for the Asian District Cultural Association, and Robert Ruiz, executive director of the Scissortail Community Development Corporation, as well as Dr. Valerie Thompson, president and CEO of the Urban League of Greater OKC, to talk about their work together.
We're sitting down having a conversation about Minority Business Development Center. The minority community was really hit hard during the pandemic, but minority businesses have grown more connected, and we've survived through one of the worst pandemics in American history. And to that end, the Urban League of Greater Oklahoma City has the opportunity, or have had the opportunity, to build even stronger relationships among our friends, the Asian community and Latino community in Oklahoma City. So today I'm really pleased to sit down with Robert Ruiz, who's with Scissortail Community Development Corporation, and Toon Nguyen with the Asian District Cultural Association. And we're going to talk a little bit about opportunities to work together and how we plan on continuing to work together in the future. So can you guys kind of share with me the mission and the vision of your organization? And Toon, you want to go first?
Sure. So the Asian District Cultural Association, we are a 501c3 nonprofit. Our vision and mission is to promote and preserve the multi-cultures of the Asian community in Oklahoma City. We do that through beautification projects. We do that with events that we hold, hoping to educate more people in our communities around the cultural awareness and bringing in diversity. We also have an impact in trying to make the Asian District of Oklahoma City like a better economic development.
And you guys have done a phenomenal job. The district is really growing, and we're glad that you are our friends, and we want to continue to see that growth in the Asian district. And Robert, what about you? What's the mission there at Scissortail?
So our mission is to help build capacity within communities and build wealth. We do our work statewide. We're not limited to the Latino community, but we definitely have attention that we place within the Hispanic community because we understand the needs there. We share the language and the culture. You just want to be able to address that need.
Well, like the Asian district, the Latino business community has grown over the years. Can you share a little bit about some of the challenges you see or have seen over the past year?
Sure. Talking about some of those strengths, entrepreneurialism is alive and well within the Latino community. Work ethic is very high. Some of the challenges that we face deal more with scaling. We have plenty of small businesses, but they have a difficult time getting over the $1 million a year mark, being able to transfer over to medium-sized to large-sized businesses. And some of that has to do with social capital, some of that has to do with access to income, and some of that has to do with access to contracts and procurement. And so, there are definitely challenges within being able to grow businesses through expansion, through equipment, and then being able to get some of the larger contracts that can really, help businesses move into the next step. So a lot of it's building capacity around that. A lot of that is creating actually new solutions for many of these things. At the same time, be able to promote Latino-owned businesses is a big part of that as well. So it's really, those challenges really take a strategic approach that is multifaceted.
And I can say the African American community has the similar challenges. What about you, Toon? What do you think are some challenges in the Asian community?
So with the Asian minority business owners, we face a lot of challenges in language barriers, and I'm pretty sure the Latino community can understand that. There's been many times where it's harder to get access to funding once there's a language barrier. Just the understanding around funding, the sources of funding, determining whether it's a loan or it's a grant. Another thing is it's just been a challenge with everyone with employment and employees, finding the right people. Those are the most difficult challenges. But however, the Asian community faces a more unique challenge is that a lot of the first challenges around the naming of this virus has caused a lot of the tensions and the things in our community to where there's not quite in our community, but in certain other areas around the United States, you see that Asian communities have had to be able to stand up more towards against a lot of that. And I think that it's more of a challenge for our Asian community to open a business during this time. Either it's a fear factor component or it's a different factor that we are facing. So.
Well, as minority businesses, even though we're differently ethnically, we all have the same challenges when it comes to minority business. So I'm really glad that we have formed a partnership to help each other. And recently we applied for the SBA Hub and Spoke grant. And so I think that is really going to help our communities. And I'm looking forward to working even deeper and more impactful together with you guys. So Toon, I wanted to ask you, what would be one of the benefits of us working collectively with this SBA grant to provide technical support for these businesses?
I feel like coming along with all of our agencies and our partnerships, we can feedback off each other as far as knowing how to access these fundings, ways in which we can help our entrepreneurs out. More educational piece for our minority-owned businesses. Also, technically, we providing the marketing piece, gathering around if we can actually promote this in our communities and help engage our communities. Just like Robert was saying earlier that, oh, I have this person that I could help you with. They've come and they've gotten an award from our agency, it's vice versa. And in this partnership, I feel like that's the strength and the core of being able to work together with it.
Robert mentioned capacity earlier. So let's talk about financing, because that's really where the rubber hits the road. What are some of the challenges that you see in the Latino community as it relates to financing? And how is Scissortail going to be helping those communities?
So we've actually been meeting with many community members, really to create anything community designed. It requires reaching into the community and all facets of the community in order to really come up with innovative ideas. I mean, people have all sorts of ideas about what they need, how to get it. Many times it's just implementing those ideas. So through Scissortail, we've done a lot of work in the community organizing realm, including national training. And so we really can explore these ideas while letting the community lead the way on the agenda, on the solutions, and then on taking action to create those solutions. Let me give an example. We just received a grant to create a community-designed financial organization. And so what that means is that a group of community leaders is going to be able to get together and design financial services, financial products, to be able to design the infrastructure for serving members of the community. For instance, many members of our community really need that help in moving through processes for filling out loan applications, for doing that kind of work that for many other communities has been kind of automated or moved online. And our community still needs that face-to-face interaction, still needs that person that walks them through that process. And by not having those things readily available, it automatically cuts off access to capital. And so those are some of the things that we need to change. And designing a new institution would allow us to do that. It also helps with the trust factor. It's really hard and intimidating for many of our members of our community to go to an institution that does not feel like it's their institution. It's intimidating. There's a lot of trust issues. And so, walking into an institution that is filled with people that are that speak their language, that understand their culture, that can help walk them through the process, that they can build long-term relationships with, that's key, because they're going to continue to need these services throughout their life, and having that person that they can always depend on will allow them to move forward in ways that they might not have been able to move forward in the past. And so that's just one example. But there's just all sorts of exciting ideas. We have so many people within our community that are really stepping up and showing leadership potential and wanting to develop as leaders. And so it's just really facilitating that process. And that process is really important.
One of the things I think is very interesting when you talk about minority businesses is sometimes we're putting this one size fits all type of model. And you mentioned cultural differences.
Yeah.
Toon, do you see that the same way in the Asian community, that sometimes we're made to feel like we need to fit in this some type of financial model?
Yes, and we don't necessarily fit in, like when you have like insurance services, healthcare, and you call this 1-800 translation number. Sometimes there's so many different dialects in the Asian, like Chinese dialects. We have so many different Chinese dialects, Vietnamese cultures. We have a lot of different regions as well. So it's hard to hear on the phone, especially for elderly people. And so I feel that we really need that personal touch, where we need these people to help with translation, to help walk these people through like processing loans, hand in hand with them, to help them build that trust. And that's a key. I really definitely agree with Robert on that.
With or without the SBA grant, the Urban League stands ready to help. And we wanted to continue to work with both of your agencies and partner with you. And so, again, I just want to commend both of you guys for really helping the minority business community. And the Urban League stands willing and able to stand in the gap to help our minority businesses survive. So thank you very much for being here today.
Yeah, if I can just say thank you to the Urban League. Urban League has a tremendous history in this community, really have led the way for a long time. And so this is exciting to be able to work together on these kinds of initiatives.
Thank you, Robert.
I can't agree more with Robert. I just really feel blessed and grateful for the opportunity to work with such great organizations. And I think this is the model where Oklahoma City is heading, is like that one OKC model where all of us knows that we can lean on each other.
Absolutely.
On our partnerships. And thank you so much, Dr.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
It is now a privilege and an honor to introduce a friend and colleague to give our 2021 EOD keynote address. Dr. Jermaine Smith-Baugh is the president and CEO of the Urban League of Broward County, a nonprofit organization in Florida dedicated to elevating the standard of living for families in underserved urban communities. In 2006, Dr. Smith-Baugh was appointed the only woman and the youngest administrator to lead an Urban League affiliate in Florida. She is credited with several achievements, including the opening of a $9 million community empowerment center located in the historic Sistrunk community. Jermaine spearheaded the efforts to secure the Greater Fort Lauderdale as the premier destination for the 2015 National Urban League Conference, which attracted over 13,000 attendees and generated an estimated economic impact of over $10 million for the region. Dr. Smith-Baugh is a graduate of Leadership Florida 2015-2016 class and was inducted into the Jim Moran Institute of South Florida Fellows and the Broward County Women's Hall of Fame. She is a native of St. Thomas Virgin Island. Jermaine holds a bachelor's degree in business and communications and a master's degree in social work and administration and a doctorate in organizational leadership with a concentration in nonprofit leadership and management.
Greetings from sunny Fort Lauderdale. Congratulations to the Urban League of Greater Oklahoma City on your 43rd annual Equal Opportunity Day. I'm Dr. Jermaine Smith-Baugh, President and CEO of the Urban League of Broward County. And to my colleague, friend, mentor, and coach, the extraordinary Dr. Valerie Thompson. Congratulations on your achievements and the impact on the community that you serve every day. The power of African Americans and Latino consumers tops $1 trillion annually, and research indicates that these groups are also the fastest growing number of new small business owners. Business startups are key to the job and wealth creation, and through the work of the National Urban League's Entrepreneurship Center program, we are helping minority entrepreneurs thrive by growing revenue over $750,000 annually and creating jobs in our community. COVID has definitely exposed some of the major challenges of small and minority-owned businesses. According to recent research by the University of California, Santa Cruz, of businesses shuttered, that means closed, since February 2020, 41%, let me say that again, 41% of those businesses were Black-owned businesses, compared to just 17% of white-owned businesses. The number one challenge facing 80% of small business owners today is a lack of capital and cash flow. And a 2018 analysis conducted by Guidant Financial underscores that obtaining credit is more difficult for African Americans than any other racial or ethnic group. Recently, the Oklahoma City Chamber of Commerce, along with the City of Oklahoma City, commissioned Ernst & Young to understand economic gaps across Oklahoma City. So for the data gurus in the room, this report found that the distribution of business ownership in Oklahoma City is not proportional to the city's racial population distribution. Black residents make up 13% of the city's population, but we only own 2% of businesses. In contrast, Asian residents make up 4% of the population, but own 6% of the businesses. Latinx owners are also underrepresented in business ownership, with 21% of the population and 5% of the business ownership. Only Native Americans in this report had roughly the same amount of proportionality, with 3% of the population and 3% of the business ownership, the second highest share among all the benchmarks. So in general, businesses owned by people of color in Oklahoma City and across these benchmarks have fewer employees and lower sales and revenue than those owned by white individuals. So I want you to know, City of Oklahoma, you are not alone. We have had those similar data points represented here in Broward County, or Fort Lauderdale as you might know it. But in 2015, the Urban League of Broward County, as a solution to these challenges, launched our Entrepreneurship Center. The Urban League of Broward County's Entrepreneurship Center helps small business owners launch their business, offers counseling that provides solutions to clients to meet their challenges, and helps business owners find capital needed for business innovation, as well as offer clients pre-loan counseling and post-loan counseling. All of this we did with the idea of combating these issues that you now face also today. The COVID-19 crisis caused unprecedented disruptions in communities like yours in Oklahoma City, as well as here in Broward County. Our communities were already facing severe health and economic challenges. And as the pandemic continues to unfold, Black-owned businesses have faced the greatest impact of any racial group. Data shows that COVID-19 sparked either the temporary or permanent closure of minority-owned businesses at higher rates than any other non-minority businesses. We believe in the Urban League movement that business ownership serves as an important source of wealth for minority households. And with equitable partnerships, together, we can close the wealth gap in the communities we all serve. Here at the Urban League of Broward County, we are committed to building a robust and resilient network of small business owners and entrepreneurs. It is through valued partnerships that we are able to expand the production and the capacity of small business owners in urban communities while scaling up our services to meet the needs of minority and women-owned businesses throughout South Florida, which includes Broward County, Palm Beach, and Miami-Dade. The Urban League of Broward County's subsidiary, the Central County Community Development Corporation, was certified by the U.S. Department of Treasury as a Community Development Financial Institution, known as a CDFI. This occurred in August of 2020. This certification expands our ability to provide access to capital, create jobs, and build wealth for families and business owners. Equitable capital access is central, absolutely central to the growth and success of minority business owners. We are proud that our clients have been able to leverage these resources to expand their businesses, mitigate losses, and recover from such a severe economic downturn. The Urban League of Broward County and our subsidiary, the Central County Community Development Corporation, we're not alone. There are definitely many urban leagues across this movement that is doing this work. In fact, 12 Urban League affiliates funded by the National Urban League's signature Entrepreneurship Center program provide management counseling, mentoring, and training services geared toward the development of management skills that will enable minority entrepreneurs to grow their businesses, obtain financing or contracts, and preserve or create jobs. The number of businesses using the Entrepreneurship Center services across the United States grew from 583 in 2006 to over 17,000 in 2017. In 2017 alone, Urban League entrepreneurs have launched 178 new businesses, created close to 7,400 full-time jobs, and raised $35 million in financing and secured $188 million in contracts and bonding. So what does this mean for you? It means that there is great potential for Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City can achieve similar success. There is a real opportunity in a new partnership between the Oklahoma City Urban League and the Oklahoma City Chamber of Commerce that will focus on an ongoing initiative to increase minority supplier development. The challenge ahead is developing minority businesses to the point that they can be effective minority suppliers, which includes supporting organizations like the Oklahoma City Urban League to establish a strong entrepreneurship center, just like we have done here in Broward County, that grows businesses from start to sustainable to scalable. And there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that with the strong leadership of your board of directors and allies in the community, as well as the strategic tenacity of my dear friend, Dr. Valerie Thompson and her team, that you can make this happen with the fierce urgency of now. We cannot wait. It requires all of us to be in this fight together. And guess what? Please don't forget to invite me to the ribbon cutting when you do make this happen. Congratulations once again to the Oklahoma City Urban League on a fantastic Equal Opportunity Day. And I wish you Godspeed and blessings.
Equal Opportunity Awards are given to individuals, corporations, and organizations that have provided exemplary service to the cause of equality and opportunity. Our first Equal Opportunity Day awardee is the Oklahoma City Black Chamber of Commerce. The Oklahoma City Black Chamber of Commerce was founded on the desire to empower Black and minority-owned businesses and unite the community at large. The Oklahoma City Black Chamber of Commerce exists to serve as an economic and professional resource, relationship builder, and advocate for the common good of a growing metropolitan area. This year, the Oklahoma City Black Chamber of Commerce worked with various community-based organizations to offer technical support to minority businesses applying for CARES Act funding. The city of Oklahoma City gave $2.75 million in December of 2020 to small and minority businesses unable to qualify for Oklahoma City's prior pandemic relief efforts. Accepting the award on the Oklahoma City Black Chamber's behalf is Joanne Davis, Executive Director of the Black Chamber of Commerce.
As the executive director, one of the biggest things that I think that the chamber has done is been an advocate. Too often small businesses are overlooked and not talked about. Throughout COVID, we provided resources for them to help get financial documentation together. We've helped them secure funds related to technology. We've helped them even get legal assistance in relation to the small businesses that received CARES Act monies. What we did was really give the information, ensuring that our small businesses and Black businesses were aware of methods and methodologies to get those fundings. And we were able to partner with several organizations to ensure the information was provided. We were an advocate to make sure that banks understood it was their responsibility to ensure they reached out to their small business account holders. We advocated through political means with our different representatives to say, hey, this legislation may not have gone far enough. What can you do? When it came to the county and they received those funds late in the year, we helped facilitate, again, getting that knowledge out, letting them know that these small businesses were still in need and needed help. And we were able to basically be on the ground talking to our small businesses, identifying issues related to what it took to get those funds.
Our second EOD awardee is the Oklahoma Black Justice Fund. The Black Justice Fund sought to advance racial equity and justice in Oklahoma City. It provided financial support to Black-led organizations, along with others who can support the mission. The fund, located at the Communities Foundation of Oklahoma, provided grants to organizations in the Black community, totaling more than $293,000 in November of 2020. Accepting on behalf of the Black Justice Fund is Sue-Ann Arnall. Miss Arnall, an energy and industry veteran, founded the Arnall Family Foundation in 2015 to focus on child welfare, animal welfare, and criminal justice reform. She is passionately focused on solutions that lower the incarceration rate and racial disparity among African American men in U.S. jails and prisons.
The Oklahoma City Black Justice Fund was created to respond to systemic racial injustice that is experienced by the Black community in Oklahoma City. Currently, Black residents make up 14% of the city's population, but only 2% of the businesses. Moreover, African Americans make up 7% of the state population, but an overwhelming 27% of the current prison population. It's one of the highest rates in the nation. Racial inequity is a problem that severely hurts our community. This fund is helping to address some of the most urgent needs for underfunded, predominantly grassroots organizations working in this space. We worked with the Communities Foundation of Oklahoma, and the fund raised $293,000. Funding decisions were made by a 12-person evaluation team, and this included members of the Black community as well as the funding community. The grants were awarded in 4 areas. The first one was research and data analysis on human rights and racial equity. The second one was economic and leadership development, civic engagement, and advocacy. And the third was community-led partnerships between law enforcement and the Black community. And the fourth was community-led policing reforms. Ultimately, 17 grants totaling $293,000 were given to Black-led 501c3 organizations that were seeking to advance racial equity in Oklahoma City. One of our successes is Northeast Oklahoma City Renaissance, Inc. They've worked over the past year with small developers to do incremental development and infill development in neighborhoods. The organization recently put on one of Oklahoma's largest conferences for minorities interested in residential and commercial development. Northeast OKC Renaissance has also become a model for offering technical support and guidance to minority developers in commercial and residential development. Another example is the Oklahoma City Urban League. They recently hosted the largest expungement expo in the state of Oklahoma. They assisted nearly 600 clients in the process of sealing their criminal records to seek better employment, workforce training, and improved housing. The Black Justice Fund was created in collaboration with the Communities Foundation of Oklahoma and other funders. We hope this fund becomes a catalyst for these And even more funders can recognize grassroots organizations that are doing the transformational work necessary to bring systemic change.
Our final award is the Russell M. Perry Award of Excellence. The Russell M. Perry Award of Excellence is given to a community leader, professional, or entrepreneur who has advanced the ideas and principles of equal opportunity for all and shown excellence in service to others. Let's hear from Mr. Russell M. Perry, founder of Oklahoma's largest independent broadcasting company, Perry Publishing and Broadcasting, about this year's awardee.
Good morning, Oklahoma City and Tulsa, Oklahoma. You're in tune to the Open Mic Talk Show.
Terry joined me in 1993. He was working part-time here, minimum wage, but he loved the business and ended up over the years developing the kind of professionalism to manage these radio stations throughout the nation.
My name is Terry Monday. I'm the Vice President of Programming for Perry Broadcasting, which consists of all the radio properties. In 1993, I was one of the first DJs hired for Perry Broadcasting, and it meant the world to me because I knew Mr. Perry, of course, having the Black Chronicle newspaper and starting his first radio station would be true to the urban format. You can call us anytime. It's 405-460-1140. So we'll go to the phone. I know when I first came on to the Open Mic Talk Show, Mr. Perry, wanted it's a serious format. It's news for the community. But man, my brain is so abstract. There's a lot of color and cartoon. Are you really a dancer?
I'm extremely proud the Urban League and its board selecting Terry. Couldn't be a better recipient for this award. I think it represents a commitment to the community and a commitment to this city. He's been with me about 28 years. For those 28 years, we've had a voice in this community that we've never had before.
What great honor to receive something in the name of Mr. Perry and all the wonderful things that he's done here in the community and that he's still doing. I'm just overwhelmed, blown away.
As we close today, I want to thank my good friend and colleague, Dr. Jermaine Smith-Ball, for inspiring us with what can be done in Oklahoma City to help small and minority businesses. I also want to congratulate our EOD award winners, the Oklahoma City Black Chamber of Commerce and the Black Justice Fund. In addition, I also want to send my congratulations to Mr. Terry Monday, our 2021 Russell M. Perry Award of Excellence winner. As we have learned today, Oklahoma City has a great deal of work ahead of us, with only 2% of our businesses being owned by African Americans, and nearly half of those businesses are in jeopardy of closing due to the slump brought on by COVID-19. In 2022, the Urban League of Greater Oklahoma City plans to continue our work with the Oklahoma City Chamber, which includes establishing a diversity council and business community group that focuses on improving inclusive economic development efforts, creating leadership and mentoring programs to retain and grow diverse talent in our corporate and business community, developing an annual research publication that tracks and reports on diversity and economic equality in Oklahoma City, and launching an ongoing initiative to increase minority supplier networks and employment. The Urban League of Greater Oklahoma City is a trusted resource and supporter of minority entrepreneurship for over 75 years. The agency has a depth of experience and has provided over 24,000 hours of client service to over 900 clients in business development. The Urban League is ready to do more. MAPS 4 presents a unique opportunity because it includes $15 million for the creation of the Henrietta B. Foster Center for Northeast small business development and entrepreneurship. The City of Oklahoma City, through MAPS 4, will create a business accelerator program in the Henrietta Foster Center, specifically for minority, small, and disadvantaged businesses. The Foster Center will be a place where several organizations can collaborate on programming efforts to help small minority businesses. With our strong partnerships within Oklahoma City and our rich history in serving this community, the Urban League will apply to be the operator of the Foster Center and provide robust economic development programs that offer technical assistance to small and minority businesses. In 2022, we will meet the challenge of closing the gap for underrepresented and under-resourced small and minority businesses in our city and our region. Now let's go to Jessica.
On behalf of the Urban League board, staff, and volunteers, thank you for joining the Urban League for our 43rd annual Equal Opportunity Day. We hope you've enjoyed our virtual event. Remember, you can support us today on Giving Tuesday by donating to the Urban League at our website at urbanleagueok.org. We hope you'll join us again in 2022.